Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. I'm feeling energized. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling refreshed. I'm feeling nourished. I'm feeling well rested. I've gotten plenty of sleep the last couple nights, about 7.5 hours. That's more than what I've been getting, so I'm very thankful for that. And it's amazing what just an extra 30 minutes to 2 hours of sleep can do when you need it. So, anyway, without further ado, if you like content like this, please go ahead and give a like and subscribe or comment. And I'd love to hear your thoughts on the message. And I just like to talk to you guys in general. So I really appreciate your support and for contributing to this content. And, well, let's get started. I want to talk today about not putting a price tag on your soul. Think about this. How many times have you known somebody that sold out, or that they had these other opportunities where they could choose their freedom in their spirit, but they chose spiritual bondage instead? And the reason that they chose spiritual bondage is because it was the easiest thing to do at the time. I remember when people were at the really height of 2020, March 2020, April 2020, and onward, when people weren't getting and refusing the thing, the jab. When people were refusing that, some lost their jobs. Some weren't able to come into work. They had to work remote. Some people didn't actually require that at their companies. And, you know, I think that was a much appreciated thing to those people. And I knew people that were making fairly good money at a fairly good companies, and they were left with a choice to stay with their job and get the jab, or they had to leave, and that was that. And they decided to stay, even though they felt like, I'm not going to say if it was a he or she because I want to protect their identity, but they felt like they needed this job, and so they didn't leave, even though they were making great money and they probably could have gotten another job anywhere else. The opportunity that they had was just too good to pass up. Now, unfortunately, for me, that was a sign of being unprincipled. And I don't like having people in my circle that are unprincipled. If you're going to be in my circle, I want to make sure you have principles. Because if you don't have principles, it's likely that you don't respect yourself. And how the fuck are you going to respect me if you don't even fucking respect yourself? So there's that. Another thing is that when you choose to sell out your soul to this person, to just people, other people in general, there's a difference between selling your soul out and then giving with generosity. There's a quote in Proverbs that I really like. It was, let me make sure. It was like Proverbs 14:31, I think. And anyway, I know it's in Proverbs, and I mentioned it on a call the other day with somebody that I'm working with, and the the verse goes something like, "Those that insult the poor also insult their maker, and those that are generous to the needy honor him." And so what that really means is that you can be generous in many different ways to the needy. And the needy doesn't necessarily mean the rich. The needy doesn't necessarily mean the poor. The needy doesn't necessarily mean middle class people. And anywhere in between. The needy is people that are hungry for soul food, because that's really what this channel is about. This channel that I'm making and trying to cultivate a community on is based on how much we can provide soulful nutrients to the society at the root level, because I envision, and I have this vision, that we're going to need to start at the roots of society in order to recalibrate and to course correct this shit on where the fuck we're going. Because I mean, looking around on social media and just out in the world today, I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but things don't seem to be getting better. Generally speaking, I don't know where you guys are all at. I know there's people been talking and commenting from Ireland or South Africa or other places in Europe and all across the United States, which is so cool, to me. Like, it really is an honor to be among the nations, so to speak. And so anyway, when I'm what I'm planning and what I'm envisioning is these soulful nutrients being provided across the world in the roots of society, in the hopes to create a better world for the next generation. Because the next generation has got their work cut out for them. Truth is more difficult to come by than ever. Truth is more deceiving than ever, mainly because that which is being told to be true is false, and that which is told to be false is actually true. So there's very different dynamics here and profound statements that are needing to be made. But really what we need to do is course correct as a society, and that only happens at the root level. And we need to do this with practicality. We need to do this with generosity. We need to do this with understanding and cooperation. We need to do this with a sense of urgency. We need to do this with a sense of commitment and faith. Otherwise, the whole thing will be lost, and it will get worse before it gets better. Now, luckily for those of you watching this channel and watching this video, you can feel the Spirit move in you and with you. This is what it's all about. This is right here. This is it. We are on the cusp of going in two very, very polar opposite directions as a civilization, as a species, as a society, and as a community. This is the time to take any kind of changes and actions needed now. This is it. There's been a lot of revelations that I've had over the past couple days, especially with me just getting more rest. It's amazing the clarity you can feel in your mind when you're well rested, and there's just a sense of wisdom and insight being cultivated more and more into my life each day. And my hope is to transcend that to whoever's listening and whoever's watching through these words, through these actions, through this time and commitment. For I am about my Father's business. And I do not mean my Father as in my biological father. I mean my Father in heaven. Heaven is an idea. That's what I've concluded. Heaven is an idea, and your Father in heaven is an idea as well. It's a concept by which you measure against your own sense of inadequacies, against your own sins, against your own tastes, and with all of those things as well. The best way to think about it is a conscience. But the conscience can also, as Nietzsche said, the conscience can also be a tyrant. So as you are learning more and more deeply about yourself and understanding that ideas are more than just ideas when it comes to mental concepts and when it comes to understanding the psychology of our own realities, collectively and individually. Collectively, we all have fathers, our Father in heaven. The best way that I can think about it, to describe it, is how your freedom of thought is a byproduct of your speech. The speech that you have, the speech that you cultivate, and the speech that you put out into the universe, the speech that you do, because speaking is an act, is a, how would you say it? It's a geometric scale to your freedom of thought as well. So when there's a freedom of thought in the words that you speak, there is a freedom of thought in your own psyche. And how open-minded you are to that speech is going to be reflected in your own sense of freedom of thought, in your own psyche. So when I say Father in heaven, what I mean is the course correction itself for us all. And if anybody would like any more clarification on that, please feel free to comment, because I'm aware that not everybody that watches this content is a follower of Jesus, but I'm also aware that most people that are watching this content that are interested in what I have to say and interested what spiritual voltage I can give them and grant, understand and have an open mind to some degree. And it's okay if we don't have a complete understanding of what it means to be in a course correction at this point in time. What I hope for everybody to do is to simply stop selling your soul. Stop giving your time and resources to people that don't know how to give in return. And if you don't know how to do that, you need to ask yourself and ask God for discernment and the strength to do so, and the courage to do so, because it is a bold thing. This is something else I've thought a lot about recently. And I didn't really understand my level of boldness until recently. Because I've always just been doing my thing. I'm living my life. I'm living. And I can just feel so energized whenever I need that. And I have that childlike quality to me. But I understand now that a lot of people don't really have that. They lost it. And I know that we've lost it as a society. That's why we need to regain it back. But trust that childlike quality within you. It will not lead you astray, I promise. It will get you to where you want to go, and the things that you naturally are inclined to be interested in ought to be the things that you take interest in, because it'll lead you to greater and better things. But do not assume just because you think something is right or wrong makes it right or wrong factually. And so for most of my life, I've always understood this concept. I've always understood this idea. I've always understood this objectivity of truth. And so when the facts bear out a story that is different than what is in my head, I revert to the facts, logistically speaking. Why wouldn't I? I would like to live in reality. Yes, please. And thank you. So, I've always been fairly bold in presenting my ideas and just being who I am. And it took me so long to realize that people just don't know who they are most of the time. They just don't. They don't want to know because it's very scary. It's scary having to accept that you have wants and needs. And some of your wants will not match up with your needs. And some of your needs don't match up with your wants. And this is the price that you pay if you pay with your soul. You pay what you want for what you need. If what you want is, I don't know, new shoes or a new vacation or whatever. This is another thing. Like, I used to go on a lot of vacations, a lot as a kid. And I guess not a lot, but like once a year, twice a year, we would go on vacations, and we would go visit grandma and grandpa's house every once in a while. But they lived like 5 hours away at the time. It was a 5-hour drive to go see them, 3 to 5 hour drive sometimes. And it was just a lot of work to get there, it seemed like, as a kid. And I remember that, there were times when I would just be who I was, and it wasn't like they just didn't know how to take it, really. They didn't know how to comprehend it. And I realized in retrospect that I was just surrounded by a lot of narcissistic people in my time growing up, and it is what it is. But the thing is that I never stopped believing in what I was here to do. I always felt like I had something big to do, Even if it was just big for me, I always had something big I wanted to do and big I wanted to achieve. And I always felt like there was just something in me waiting to just be uncaged. Because that's what it was like. And this is something I've learned is along the way is that if the people around you are not enlightening you or encouraging you or inspiring you, they are in the prison of your own mind, not the garden of your mind. You want people that have gardens in their mind, not prisons. So, throughout all this time, I truly believed in this, and I still do. And I will not stop. I don't want to stop. Because I know now that I am truly blessed. And anybody that has felt this kind of aliveness, this zest, understands the blessing that it is. Because many other people in the world don't feel this way. But if you chose to work through it and you chose to do the inner work to get to where you are now, you better believe that you will be blessed. So with that being said, peace be with you. I hope this message was useful and informative. Till next time.